What's up, guys? This is Sammy Geek back here with a fun video. Today I've got the Fitbit Sense, the Versa 2 and the Versa 3 in front of me. And I want to start out with a little bit of background here. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know that I'm a bit of a nut when it comes to technology. And I've had every smartwatch under the sun. Literally every smartwatch that Samsung has ever launched. I've had just about every Fitbit that's ever been launched and just about every Garmin. So again, a little bit more background. So how did I get into all these smartwatches? Well, of course, I've been wearing them for years and years, but I wear them quite differently now than I did before. So before, I used to wear them when I travel for work, and I did not wear them at night. I hardly wore them when I work out. So it was pretty much when I traveled during the day and just taking them off at night. And then something interesting happened. As soon as COVID hit and I started basically working from my home office, I started trying these watches a lot more throughout the day and the night. So I started wearing them really like 24/7. And then I went on this hell-bent mission to try to figure out what is the best, most comfortable, easiest to operate smartwatch that's gonna give me the best battery life, the best features, the easiest to use, always on display. And I was just going out and trying to find this perfect watch. So recently, I went back and forth between the Garmin and the Samsung. I landed back on although I think Garmin has the best software, I landed back with the Samsung again. So I was using the Samsung Watch Active 2 on most days. And then sometimes on the weekend, I would switch to the Galaxy Watch. It was flashier, it was a little bit bigger watch and so forth. I think it was the 46 millimeter. And so then, little bit of a caveat here. When I was looking at some of these smartwatches back in the day when the Fitbit Versa 2 first came out, I tried it, of course, like on launch day, and I absolutely fell in love with the watch. I really loved the Alexa feature that was built in, and I loved the display. It was super easy to operate. It had all the features that I wanted, like the alarms and the timers, and just very basic features. Beautiful screen, quick and easy to use, but again, it was super lightweight. It was very comfortable, but the $10 million kicker is it did not have GPS. And at that time, I wanted GPS. If I was going to use it for a run, I just felt like I needed GPS to be more accurate. Which, long story short, Versa 2 actually is really accurate even without having GPS. But it was kind of the reason I returned it. That and the Samsung watches at the time that I was comparing to this did also have the speakerphone built in. So of course I was losing speakerphone and I was losing GPS, and so that kind of frustrated me, and so I ended up returning the Versa 2. So fast forward up until recently, I've been trying all these smartwatches. I landed back with Samsung, as I mentioned. I'm looking online and I'm like, all right, what are the latest and greatest watches that have come out? And I see Fitbit just set up pre-orders on the Versa 3 and the Sense. And I start reading up on these watches and I'm like, wait a second. So they've taken the Versa 2 and actually added GPS. They've added speaker, which is now all of a sudden getting up there to something more similar to the Samsungs that I was using. Then they upgraded the charger to more of a little tiny slimline charger versus the clip-on clamshell that comes with the Versa 2. And then they added fast charging. And I was like, all right, I'm sold, pre-order. I'm gonna get the Versa 3 or the Sense. So then I started to do all this homework between the Versa 3 and the Sense. But why do I have a Versa 2? It's because when I went out to pre-order the Sense and the Versa 3, I had to get my hands back on a Fitbit. I was just too antsy. So I went back to the Versa 2 to give that a shot. So right away when I tried the Versa 2, I knew that the new features were coming out, so I was looking past the GPS and so forth, and I automatically fell in love with the watch again. This is coming right from the Samsung Watch Active 2 and the Galaxy Watch. And the first thing I noticed again when I tried this watch on was that it was super light and super comfortable, and I forgot about it within 10 minutes of having the thing on. The second thing was just, it was so easy to get in here. It's like timer, alarms, exercise. To jump into your exercise, it was so fast and easy. I felt like Samsung, you know how there's the app drawer and so forth that you can go through. Well, that to me, there's just too much going on. I love Samsung. Obviously, you guys can tell by my name, I'm like Samsung #1 fan, but there's just so much in their watch going on, and it started to fall out of the criteria of the things that I used most. And the other thing that I fell in love with the Fitbit was I always use this always on display. And I was getting, 2-3 days out of this thing. A little pro tip with the Fitbits, I don't want to digress too far here, but so if you notice here, the watch is not turning on as I flick it around. And there's a reason for that. It's because I have it only to turn on when I press the button. And the reason is, if you have the time in front of you, why do you need it to open up every single time you flick your wrist? I think that just kills the battery. So I'm almost offsetting to some degree the always on display. I'm almost offsetting the battery juice that it's taking to have that turned on, because I don't have it activate every time I move my wrist. Lo and behold, it turns on. It must have just reactivated itself. Too much shaking, but normally it's turned off. So you can also cover it to turn off the display. But I promise you I have that turned off right now. So anyway, I also do one other little tip, is that I have this, the timer is set to, or the clock, the always on clock is set to turn off at a certain period of time. So like 9:30 at night, it'll actually shut off, and then it'll turn itself back on at like 6:30 in the morning or something like that. So I'm getting 2 to 3 days out of a watch that is actually telling me the time on my wrist, and I think that's a great feature. The Samsung watch, I felt like I struggled to get a day and a half out of the thing. So, and also, I'm not saying the Watch Active 2 was uncomfortable, because it was very comfortable, but something about the Versa 2 was just that much more comfortable. And also, I loved the square display. I do not like the rectangle display of the Apple Watch, but I love the square display that the Versa gives you. So that's how I ended up with the Versa 2. Just patiently waiting for my Versa 3. So to do a little bit of a comparison between the Versa 2 and Versa 3, I can keep this somewhat quick and concise. The difference between these two watches, I think you guys already know the features, but number one, the button. So this one has a kind of a pressure sensitive haptic feedback button versus the physical button. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I do like the physical button a little bit better, but don't be nervous about this button if you are looking for the Versa 3. Maybe the first hour or something, it was kind of funky to press, but every time now I can press it. I did get the watch. The watch actually froze up a little bit one time on me. I think I was pressing the button too many times and screwing around with something, so I was a little disappointed with that. But otherwise, the button, I would say you get used to pretty quick, so don't worry about that. The larger display is pretty awesome. So if you guys look here, you guys already know the specs on this if you're watching this video, but the display is noticeably larger. And what I like about the display is that the Versa 2 has a very sharp cutoff in the, let's see if I can get this. So yeah, you can see right here, it's a very sharp cutoff on each corner versus the 3, which has a, let's see if I can get it, yeah, you can see it here. It's kind of rounded. So the display actually matches the roundness of the display here, where this display kind of matches the squareness. So this is more squared off and then more rounded. That's obviously the difference, but it makes the bezel feel smaller and the screen feel larger. So I do notice that. The other difference that I see, but I don't feel it, I see it, but look at where the, let's see if I can get the right angle here. Look at where the band comes in. I'm gonna flick this up here. Let's try this. If I can get focus here for you guys. So the band comes up right to the top of this guy here. Where look at here, it almost feels like it bubbles up further, which is weird. I mean, you can see it, but you don't feel it. That's the weird part. I don't get it. If you run your hands on it, it's a little bit smoother here. It kind of just, there's a much smoother transition. And here it kind of lifts up. But again, I don't feel it or notice it. That's just my personal opinion to share with you guys. So short of that, that's about the difference. I do love the extra bells and whistles, but I do love anytime you put a bigger screen and less bezel, I'm gonna be a huge sucker for that. So definitely digging that. The other thing that I mentioned, I'm not gonna deep dive into this or get too crazy, but it is the operating system. So once you get into this watch, the operating system is different. So the icons are a little bit bigger and placed in a different location. You can see So it makes everything feel larger, easier to use. And if we jump into exercise, they've refreshed the look and feel of this watch, and I love it. I think they did a really good job connecting the GPS. You can see this one, you know, here it's trying to connect to the phone. But so the look and feel, I'm not going to say either one. I'm not going to say that the Versa 2 is bad, but they've refreshed it with the Versa 3, and it just makes it feel fresh and new. So that's fun and that's cool. So that's about the difference between the two. The other last thing I should mention is probably the band. You guys swap bands all the time anyway. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you probably have 8 bands for your watches. But the Versa 2, the band that it comes with is, I don't know, in my humble opinion, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's a kind of a hard rubber. It's a little sharp on the edges. It's still comfortable, but it's just not the best band out there. Versa, I think they call this the Infinity Band, for lack of a better term. This is like anything else that you'd find on Amazon, but it's a soft premium rubber, and believe it or not, it's super easy to put on. At least I find it super easy. Probably just as easy, if not easier, than a traditional watch band, but it's I would say it's much more comfortable. So if you're asking, hey, Sammy Geek, what's the difference here between the two bands as far as comfort levels go? If I would call this a 10 on the comfort level or comfort zone, I would say this is like an 8 once you have it on. But it has more of a premium feel. So if the feel of this was like a 10 on the premium scale, this is more like a 5 on the premium feeling scale. So congratulations, Fitbit, you did a good job. The other piece is the removing of the bands. Again, I'm not going to get too far into this, but it is a difference. I should point it out. I believe these are the 20mm bands with the little pins. These are kind of tricky to get off. This thing's a piece of cake, so you just kind of press in the middle and the thing pops up. So you kind of put your fingernail on this and press towards the band, and it pops off and it pops back on right away. So you can kind of hear it click. So that's really actually cool. Now the downside is that there's a million 20mm bands out there all over Amazon and all over the web. There's a lot less Fitbit Versa 3 and Sense bands so far anyway. There's a few different rubber ones that are different colors and so forth. I think I already bought a gray and a white, and maybe another color as well, but I don't see any nice leather bands or anything. Fitbit has a leather band that they'll sell you, but it's like $50. So to me, that's a little bit overpriced, because eventually there's going to be a leather band on Amazon for probably $9.95. So Fitbit, if you're listening, why don't you lower the price a little bit on your bands? We're all spending good money on your watches. You're going to charge us $50 for a fake leather band. So just my feedback. But what's the difference between the Sense and the Versa 3? All right, so Versa 2, we know the difference. Let's kick this one aside. By the way, if you're rocking the Versa 2 right now and you're debating, should I change from the Versa 2 to the Versa 3? Today, my answer is no. Unless you need GPS, because you're not going to get the speakerphone functionality yet until Fitbit launches that. But really what you're getting here is fast charging and GPS. Forget the fast charging, you're not going to upgrade for that. GPS would be really truly the only reason you'd upgrade. Obviously a little bigger display, a little different software, little bells and whistles here and there. But the big factor, the big feature is the GPS. If you can get away without the GPS for the most part, the Versa 2 is a rock star watch. Just save your money, wait until this thing goes on sale. And if you have to, we're right around the corner from like Black Friday, Thanksgiving. You know this thing's $230 now. You know it's going to be on sale for $210 or something like that. They're going to drop $20-25 off this thing. So hang tight. If you have a Versa 2, unless you have the money to sell the Versa 2 and go out and buy the Versa 3, I would say it's really not worth it. For me, I'm a geek when it comes to this stuff, and I have to test these watches, and sometimes I make videos, and so I have a lot of fun with this, and that's the reason I have these. For me, I'll probably use this until Samsung launches their next watch, and then of course I'll be trying the Samsung or something. So that's just how I go. But if you have a Versa 2, just keep rocking that, I would say. But if you are in a situation like I was, and you're going to make a decision between the Versa 3 and the Sense, what is the difference? Well, number one, I saw some reviews online that were talking about the Sense having some sort of laser cut glass, something to that effect. And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's gonna be this slight difference between the two. But I can tell you guys right now, between the two watches, these are spot on identical. I literally do not see a difference anywhere in any shape, any size, on the side, on the back, nothing is different. The only difference I see personally is, of course, you get like stainless steel on the back of this, and then you get the sort of the black chrome stainless steel on the front versus no chrome on the Versa 3. So I even was trying to nitpick here because I remember some of the reviews were saying laser cut glass and this and that, and so I'm like, all right, there's got to be a difference. But if you look here, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but it kind of goes from the black chrome to like a matte finish to like a very thin line of almost like a kind of a shiny black. And then over here on the Versa 3, it's the same deal. It's like this kind of shiny gold, and then you get this little line of like a matte gold, and it goes back to shiny. There's just like a tiny little hair millimeter between that and the band. And when I go back to the Sense, it's the exact same thing. If you can see that, I think you can see that right in the, I mean, literally they're spot on, you guys. So we can take that off the table, that there might be some sort of difference. There might be some better glass cutting or angle, or the way it's attached. Something might be more premium. Negative. I am here to tell you that I am not seeing any difference, at least to the naked eye, without getting out a micrometer. I'm not seeing any differences. So really, what are we talking? Well, if you want ECG, stress management tools, you're gonna clearly go with the Sense. So Versa gets pushed aside. But if you're like me and you don't care about ECG and stress management, why in the hell would I buy the Sense? Well, it all comes down to colors at this point, because Fitbit did something interesting now with the Versa 3. They did not, for me anyway, they didn't come out with a silver version or something that's close to the Versa 2, where it is more of a like, almost like it's like a dark gray, for lack of a better term. So it's not like a full-on onyx black, which the Versa 3 is offering. They're offering like a full like dark black and almost like a tactical black, and with a black band. And to me, that's not what I wanted. So I was like, all right, what are my other color choices, right? I'm gonna go, seriously, I have one other color choice at that, because I'm gonna do the gold and the blue. And so the other one is the gold, and I think it's like a peachy or orange or something, which is very feminine, so I'm not gonna use that. So I did not like this color after trying it on. It's just, for whatever reason, it just didn't match me. So I thought, all right, I have to try the Sense at this point. I'm pretty much pigeonholed into that. That, or I was just gonna go with the black one and call it a day. But if I got the black one, I probably would have swapped out with a white band or something. But then it's very, if you go full black and white, it's very contrasty. So it doesn't, I think there's too much contrast going on. So here with the Sense, I ended up getting, you know, of course I can see a little bit of a difference here. So you get kind of the black on the bottom, or like the graphite, and then you get the kind of the shininess of the black chrome. It's not too shiny because it's the black chrome, but it kind of gives it that premium feel, but still sporty, but premium. So I tried both these watches on back to back, of course, when I got the Sense, when this arrived today. Actually, I've been using the Versa now for some time. I've been getting used to the gold over the past few days, but immediately when I tried on the Sense, I knew that that was going to be the watch I was keeping. It does add, I'm not gonna lie guys, it does add a nice sense, even though it's just that little bezel going around the outside, it adds a really nice sense of kind of premium to it, for whatever it's worth. That's, again, it's my personal take. If you guys like the gold, rock it. The thing's awesome. Seriously, you can't go wrong with any of these watches, whether you do the Versa 3, the Sense, or the Versa 2. They're all really cool watches. It just depends on what features you want. So a little tidbit of information here. You see the watch display with both these watches. They are available, so you can swap these displays back and forth. I don't know if you can download these on the Versa 2. I guess I didn't try. But both of these are swappable, if you want to call it that. So if you like the Sense, the look of the one on the Sense, you can do it on the Versa 3. Or at least I looked it up on the Sense. So when I added the Sense to my phone and to the app, I went back because I started getting used to the Versa 3 display, and you see the always on display here is different. They're different from one another. So I got hooked onto the Versa 3 and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't want to give that up. And sure as heck, I went on the Fitbit app, and you can download this watch face from the Versa 3 onto the Sense. So I was happy to see that. So I'm gonna give it a shot and figure out which one I'm gonna go with. But so again, the difference between the Versa 3 and the Sense. If you want ECG and stress management, spend the extra $100. I mean, that's a no-brainer if that's what you're looking for. For me, again, I'm not going to use the 6 months of premium trial. So Fitbit, you can take that and forget about that, because I'm not going to pay anything for additional apps to be able to use my already expensive watch. That's a silly proposition if you ask me, because Garmin, I don't think, does that, and Samsung definitely doesn't do that. So they can take their 6-month subscription here and take that right off the box, because I won't be using it. You get hooked on something and there's going to be an extra little bell or a whistle, and then all of a sudden 6 months is up and you're paying $10 a month for a subscription for your Fitbit app. That just seems silly. So the difference to me, because I'm not huge on the ECG and stress management, I'm probably going to use it once and I'll never use it again. It then comes down to, am I willing to pay for essentially that little tiny bezel that goes around the outside? But that little bezel that goes around the outside actually makes a pretty big difference, I think, between the look and the feel of both these watches. So that's kind of it, guys. At the end of the day, if you're rocking a Versa 2, nothing wrong with it. Keep it. I would say, if you have the extra fundage, maybe upgrade, maybe sell your Versa 2 and collect back some of the funds that you used to purchase that. But if you are a geek like me, you're going to want GPS. You're going to want the upgraded OS. You're going to want the larger display. You're going to want the new band. You're gonna want the new kind of fit and feel and finish, and you're definitely going to want the new fast charger, because that is a nice difference between the Versa 2. So I would say, again, if you're new in the market and you're looking for a Fitbit watch, period, definitely the Fitbit 3 and the Sense. It's really cool that they actually did it the way they did. Although I disagree with the colors on the Versa 3. I wish there would have been a better variety. I like that they said, hey, we're going to give you a premium option for the folks that want to spend the extra money. And here's a premium option. We're not only going to give you some additional sensors, but we're going to have a little bit more of a premium feel. So that's cool that Fitbit did that. But let's say you're coming from an older Samsung watch or an older Garmin or an older Fitbit. It's a no-brainer at this point because they took the Fitbit Versa 2, which was already a really super nice watch, and they modified it. They listened to their customers. They added what needed to be added, and they've added some additional features above and beyond the Versa 2. Therefore, I guess at the end of the day, it created a really nice watch. So for me, the only nitpick about this watch, because the battery life's awesome, everything else is great, is literally I'm gonna have to try over time this little haptic feedback sort of fake button, for lack of a better term. Again, I think that, I don't know why they went with that versus a real button on the Versa 2, but so that's my only real nitpick, you guys. Otherwise, Fitbit, great job. You guys knocked it out of the park. I think that you can just take this and build it even further. Down the road, you could have a Sense 2, you could have a Versa 4, and a bigger display, even less bezel, better battery power, more features, and you've got a hell of a platform now to continue to work from. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. This is a long video, but I know that if you guys are shopping for these watches, you're watching all these videos, and I hope I gave you everything that you guys need to know and more. Feel free to hit me up with any questions, comments. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you guys love this video, please subscribe. It means the world to me, guys. I try to do this to be helpful and taking my personal time to hook up you guys and kind of return the favor, because I know a lot of people put out some great content that I take advantage of when I'm looking for things to buy and purchase. So just trying to return the favor. Thanks, guys. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon.